this piece is up, it's like a installation piece. It's called just Selkie. Um, and if I give a bit of a background of, I guess, my creative practice first, this is probably going to make a little bit more sense. So I'm a multidisciplinary artist, but I work mainly with textile and drawing. And I work sort of conceptually around what I call like entangled relationships with land. And what I mean by that are the kind of in, entanglements, relationships between human, animal, land, like the more than human world, I guess, that are complex and messy. And I do that particularly in reference to Scotland, where my family are from, particularly the Outer Hebrides, where my dad lives. These islands on the West Atlantic coast of Scotland. It's this environment that has a lot of perceptions of wilderness kind of inferred on it. This idea of it being this untouched landscape, this place where like people still live like very traditionally. But it's a real kind of misconception because the land is very heavily occupied by forces such as militarization. It's heavily mythologized. It's heavily kind of impacted by tourism and spirituality. It's a very sort of interesting human landscape. And this Selkie project focuses on the myth of the changeling creature, the Selkie. And I'm so interested in myths because I sort of see them as a lens through which we can explore our contemporary world. Like I see myth as like a kind of collective memory that tell us how we used to think and feel as a society. They kind of outlive us, yet symbolize us for future generations, kind of reminding us who we are and who our ancestors were. And by modern standards, that's often like a really ugly portrait, especially in terms of the autonomy of women and the demonization of those women who kind of dare to deviate. You know, the kind of fairy tale figure of the deviant woman being a witch or a monster. And for that reason, I really sort of believe and try to create work in which the myths adapt and change over time, and some of these kind of perceptions are turned on their heads, I guess. So the Selkie. So in case y'all don't know what a Selkie is, she's kind of niche. So a Selkie is a seal woman changeling. And the story around Selkies in Gaelic myth is that fishermen would steal their seal skins, taking away their ability to return to the water, to return to their people, and force them to be their wives. So it's a very like abusive and traumatic myth. And with nature so often simplified into like a beautiful, fertile mother, and our destruction of nature and ecosystems so often described as a violence or a violation or like even a rape, I think that a kind of a changeling creature who is both human and animal, both kind of connected to human culture and to nature, which we see as very divided, can speak to both the inequality of patriarchy and to human domination of nature. But like nature, the Selkie is very ruthless and complex as well as victimized. So when she in the myth, when she discovers and recovers her seal skin, she returns to the water with her human daughters and with her Selkie daughters, and abandons her human sons. Which again I really think can speak to the double binds of female emancipation, where you sometimes have to choose between this kind of nurturing role of having a family and this kind of ambitious role of, I guess, having a career, following your heart, following your passion, this kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of the background of the project. Sorry I talked so long about that. I'll sort of talk about the different like parts of the installation now. The first piece I created for the installation was actually a poem about the Selkie. It the story of that poem is kind of a new or updated version of the myth that removes the victimized character completely and replaces it with a modern kind of investigative character where my Selkie uses her changeling ability to explore the human world and kind of make sense of the devastating impact that humans are having on the sea and its ecosystems. And if anyone's interested in reading that, I can send it over to whoever, put it on the chat. I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever.
please. I really want
Um,
to know more.
Thank you. And then if I come over here, so yes, so these were the second piece that I created for this sort of installation series. They're a pair of shoes, hand sewn, hand sort of pattern drafted, with kelp, so a type of seaweed, and then laced with abandoned fishing rope that I found on the seashore and took home with me. And they were just kind of inspired by this like really leathery kelp that I saw on the beaches of the Hebrides, and I kind of made them imagining the ways in which a changeling creature like a selkie would have to adapt to human life and life on land while still maintaining her link to the sea and her home. Um, and then, so the second piece was this sort of big trawler net. That's me with it. It's the largest piece. It's like a 4 meter long net, all constructed with recycled lace and net curtains. Um, and with, I guess, the abusive dynamic of the Selkie and the fisherman from the myth, for me, the use of white lace and the net curtains kind of mimicked wedding lace, but also referenced the domestic sphere, the sort of hidden space behind the net curtains where these kind of patriarchal dynamics so often play out, in the home. Um, and then, of course, there's the implication of being trapped by the net and the damage that trawler nets inflict on marine life and ecosystems. So I hope that as a piece, it kind of draws together patriarchal and ecocidal violence, I guess, quite sort of neatly in one piece. Uh, yeah. This next piece, the final piece in the series, Selkie lamp, I guess I'd call it. It's a second-hand lamp, a sort of thrifted lamp, decorated with shells because I wanted to kind of visually reference craft aesthetics, with window panels of hand-sewn kelp seaweed instead of glass. And it's something I need to do more research on. But the reason I kind of made those panels was that I learned that kelp window panels were once used by Hebridean islanders, like before glass making and infrastructure was there on the islands to kind of modernize the houses. And it just lets in this beautiful green light, but obviously protects from the Atlantic wind. And the green light was especially kind of evocative and exciting for me because I thought it really sort of felt like being in a kelp forest, a beautiful green light of the sun shining down through the water and the seaweed. Um, so yeah, that's kind of an overview of the work.
It's
And you
such a
kind of,
great
oh
work,
gosh,
and
it's
you
really
sound like
bright.
a pro. So if you never did this before, like you sound really great. I really like it.
Thank you.
It's so well, like the layers of the work and like how many different ways of approach that you intertwined in the work itself. I really like how you have been rethinking all the different things, and it's also like I love the idea of like this new reading of a myth that like you're adding this new layer of it. That's really cool. Like I really like I'm working with shamanism and rituals, and like also like trying to reinterpret the rituals. So like this reminds me a little
Mm.
bit of that. Like it's like your starting point, it's a little bit different, but like I think we have like some points that like we can also like share. And also like this way how you're making it like putting it in a new context, like a modern context, so like it becomes like part of the modern time, like it's like so contemporary. And like and the use of materials, it's amazing, like this seaweed thing, it's really cool, like with the shoes and like the combination also with the plastic, like such a contrast. It's like also like connecting like the old ancient times and the modern times, like that's really cool. and like the seaweed thing for the, like I didn't understand, did they use it for like instead of the glass for the windows, like in the houses also?
I think back in the day they did, yeah, yeah. I think obviously we're going kind of way back here, but yeah, I think back when it was sort of small crofting communities,
Mhm.
I believe they would use the kelp panels as window panes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very cool. I need to do more research into it because
That's
it's really
really cool.
interesting.
I mean, like, I'm not familiar with this material, but like, I'm always starting from material, so I'm super interesting to learn all about it. Like, you will send me, please, exactly what it is because I have no idea.
Those shoes that you made, there is something so raw, almost unfinished in the nature. Like, and those shoes that you made remind me on that. Something kind of strangely alien, because like I don't know. Still, I'm thinking about. I think Zizek once said that in some places in the world, like the nature didn't finish the work to make itself be, finished. Like something like that.
Mm. Yeah, or I
I
guess in
I
that context.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, who's
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I guess in that context, I
Mhm.
guess I think nature did finish the work, but then humans undid it. You know, we kind of completely deforested Scotland, and it's
Yes.
a denuded and barren and harsh environment because we just stripped out the Caledonian rainforest completely, and now it's this kind of bare mountainous region that we think is natural but isn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense then. Okay. Uh,
Well, I also wanted just to comment on the materials because I love experimenting with all different new materials, but I love that like off of what Boschko said with the shoes, as you were explaining the story and then what Boschko mentioned, it immediately made me think like that it would be they look like someone if they have not ever made a shoe or like really seen a shoe up close or like know the intricacies of it. That's how, and in this myth, like it's a person from the sea, like these type of like creatures. And so it's like their interpretation of, oh, that's a shoe, of course, like that's a shoe. And using the materials that they are familiar with. So for me, it's this amazing connection between humanity and this creaturism that you have. Like it's the liaison between the two worlds, and like literally you walk out of the sea in these shoes made of the sea and components found in the sea. So I love this like connection with it, and then again with the light, because and not only is it a light like the seaweed as the glass, but the light itself acting as like a beacon. Uh,
Mm.
and also, as you mentioned, reflects like it gives you an idea of like being in a kelp forest and having that light that comes through. So it acting as a beacon if you're in, and then it acting like physically as a beacon if you're outside. So I just love the connections there. And then, of course, the materials in the net that are all repurposed. It's fascinating. I really love these pieces. Like, it's a really great series, really.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you kind of got the kind of the idea of the Selkie coming out of the sea and kind of having adapt to having feet and walking on land and that. Like I really wanted there to be sort of sense of storytelling in the work. So I'm really glad you got that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then, like, with the story itself, like, it's fascinating. But then, as soon as you showed the shoes, I was like, oh, this is the connection, like, out of the sea into the world, and onto the
Mm.
land. And so, for me, like, I was like, are those made of like seaweed? Because in my mind, when you're talking about this transition, my first thing was I have dried kelp in my closet to eat, like for soup.
Hmm.
And I was thinking,
Yes.
oh, she could use something like this because it really gets durable, it gets hard and dries
Mm.
out well. And then
Yeah.
you explained that's exactly what it is. I'm like, perfect. This is perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really good. And you're so articulated with it. Like, I really
Yeah.
like how you explain the whole story, because like in a short time, like you gave me the whole picture, and now like I'm gonna keep thinking about it, because and also the presence of like the female figure with a lace, that's also like because it's floating, and then it's not like so literal, like we don't see exactly the figure, but like this ghostly figure, it's amazing like how you can keep continuing. It's kind of like this negative space, like you are wondering what's like on the other side, so like you're filling in the figure even that you're not seeing it, which is really great. I really like that element, that like you didn't make the figure, you just like announce it that it's there and it's not there, and it puts the viewer in a position to keep thinking about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, really good. I really like the work. So yeah, so I want to see more of it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. I think this would actually be very interesting for the group, like for everyone else to hear.
Yeah,
Like, I would say present it again because this is really
yeah.
interesting. And like again with like the materials and stuff, I think also could inspire Kai because he's working with the stars and stuff and beaches and things like that, like and rocks and things. I think, oh, this could be something that might be interesting for him.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. But I think it's
And
really
also Rosie does collections.
also
Mm,
like Rosie. It's like Rosie, it's an artist from UK.
exactly.
She's like moving at the moment, so she's not able to visit to come, like I don't know, like maybe a few more weeks, but because she's moving from one city to another. But like
mm.
I think it would be also inspiring for her to see. So I think like we have a lot
Absolutely.
of people in a group that are actually working with nature and materials, and like
Yes.
they fit right in like with mythology and like everything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's why I
So
said I think you should present it like when everybody or like when the group is a bit bigger
yeah,
because
yeah,
well, I found it fascinating. I feel like it could be really inspirational to the other artists because really like we're all, inspiring each other. You've seen
yeah.
tonight us talking about last week and
Mm.
our connections and but like because it is like Gotza said, it's gonna like the connection with nature. I feel like a lot of us would be inspired by even just the materials, but also the mythology behind it because all of us to some degree are like interested in that and we have a little thing behind it, a little influence.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Be
fascinating.
you.
Fascinating how we all have like connections, and like how with these conversations, like the story can connect always in some way. Like that everyone has something that they have been either thinking about or they already were including it in their artwork. So like it just keeps growing the conversation. I find that amazing.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
Yeah,
thank you
of
so much.
course. Great work and good presentation. I'm looking forward to seeing
And
more.
you
Like,
too.
okay, well, have a good night, guys. I'll see you next week.
Yes, you too.
See
See you
you.
soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.